Hello, everybody. It's your boy Lil L. I am the host. I am the DJ. I'm the MC. And this is the Synch Era podcast. And oh, this is a treat right here. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I just can't stop saying, oh, today is, oh my goodness, is the finale of the first season of the Synch Era podcast. And no way, last but not least, oh my goodness, we saved the best for last for the first season. Woo! And this person is going to be a returning member. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm getting chills. Oh, I just can't. I can't get through this introduction because there's no introduction. Oh my goodness. Today we have the GOAT of filmmaking in Midwest Hollywood. We talk about tall grass. We talk about, oh my goodness, the legend, the man of the murderer. Y'all, man, if y'all know the original idea concept of Chucky, boy, y'all lost. Ooh, we're going to get that today. We're going to get that today. Today, we have my brother, my mentor, my Stanley Kubrick, the GOAT, all the way from Wichita, Kansas, of Midwest Hollywood, the founder of RG Studios, Internet Art Films. Woo! Started from 14 years old. We're going to get it. Woo! We're going to start from 14 years old. RG Miller, everybody. Woo! Yeah.
What's going on with you, Ellis?
Yeah. How you
Going
feeling?
all
What's
right
going
today?
on with you, RG? What's going on?
Oh, I'm all right. You know, just doing my thing,
Mm-hmm.
doing my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
create my art. You know, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing what I have to do.
Exactly.
The job work yourself, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been waiting. Like I said before we press the record button, I've been thinking about this all day, just waiting to get out of work. Like, please get me out of there. Woo!
Right.
Man, oh my goodness. Where do I start? This is amazing. Man.
Well, I remember days like that when I was at working at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I was there'll be a lots of working at that restaurant, banking cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is ringing. But anyway, I'll be sitting up there and I would have all these thoughts going through my head, you know, ideas, whatever. I remember one particular moment I was writing the script called Pernicious of Prophet. And never did do the film, but I was writing the script. It was during this type of weather up into the winter. I was writing it. And I could never wait to get out of this place. Yeah. It was the last thing on my mind. And me and my friend, Mr. Philip Gray, would sit down and eat our lunch. I would be sitting up there scribbling in ink, pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Script for This Is a Prophet. Can't really remember what the characters' names were in the movie, but this script at that time meant more to me than perhaps working in the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit there and I'd be thinking about it while I'm working. And as soon as we get done, go to our lunch, I got my little script in my hand. I go there and start writing on this script. He said, like, what are you doing? Script. Script. Yeah. Movie. Oh, this is a prophet. He said, what is it about? Well, it's about these criminals. One of them creates this machine that can turn coal into diamond. And and another guy steals this machine, and he becomes um, intertwined with like a spy mystery of uh, how do we get that machine out of these other people's hands.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned that moment about being can't wait to get home, that popped in my head right away.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, man, this is whew, boy. So for the viewers that don't know, just because I know I did my introduction, but for the viewers who don't know, give them, I guess, a synopsis. It's best, I know it's a lot, but if you give a brief synopsis of RG Studios and who, Internet Art Films and and what you do and you as a person.
Well,
that's a lot to ask.
well, I mean, that's in one sense, yeah. I'm an artist, creating films since I can remember. I always loved film before even the age of 14 was began, but the start of putting hands on. I always liked something about the movie business, the films and film. Watch the name. I watched over. I tell people my average watching films has been around probably at that age several thousand films. I would watch everything on Cinemax, HBO. Cinemax used to have like a great channel. They would run all the B movies. Before I knew what B movies were, I was watching a bunch of them. And then I learned what B movies were. Cheap movies made under a couple $100,000. The big budget movies go over several million. But anyway, RG Studios is a replica of, of a collection of decades. You got the 1940s, you got the 1950s and 60s, and all of that has these timeless type films. You got the 40s, you got this certain script noir new films, where people back then they wrote films. They were just getting into talkie films in the 40s. And it was all about dialogue. And my studio, I like good dialogue in our studio stuff. Internet art films is that non-traditional filmmaking, taking the best pieces of the art of filmmaking and then jigsaw them together, and then hopefully you have implemented your story within the concepts of this jigsaw. Some people like Chinese kung fu movies. Don't mean that it's because the era is gone. Don't mean you can't make one. You don't have to make it exactly like they make it. You can take a piece of it. I like when Bruce Lee was beating up these people in the Chinese connection. You just take that little. Like one day, I still have it on my mind to make a Game of Death style type film.
Yeah.
And the twist of it's going to be Bruce Lee's going to be the villain, an action figure villain.
Yeah.
I had on the plate to buy the action figure a year and a half ago was a very articulated one. I said, oh yeah, he's gonna be the villain. When Bruce Lee climbs in the movie, they climb this I think they call that the or the or whatever they call that Japanese house. You get to the top, the actual film, it was actually this old businessman in town, but toward the top he fought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In the Internet art film, at the top of the goal, it's going to be Bruce Lee, and all the other ones are going to be minions. And my character I was going to create for myself is that me and Bruce Lee have this fight,
Yeah.
But anyway, Internet art films is like that style. You just take certain things you love about art, you put it together. RG Studio is a replica of many different decades. It's my name, my name RG comes basically Richard G. Miller. I use that because I like the name Believe it or not, I like the name MGM Studios. I always liked that name. I
Yeah.
thought that was, grand. Now, I used to call my studio RGM,
Yeah.
a friend of mine told me to shorten that to just RG. So there we have it. RG is, and that became technically a nickname. Thanks to the guys in Hollywood, that became a nickname now. RG,
Yeah.
synonymous with RG.
Nice, nice, nice. I want to go a little back. It's funny because, a lot of this stuff we, already talked about personally, as far as like, different, like your background and all that stuff like that. We go all day about that. But for the viewers, let's go back a little bit. Wichita, Kansas. How would you describe that area?
The area?
The area, yeah. The reputation of Wichita, especially from when you were growing up and making it growing up.
Well, it was as a child, it was interesting. It was, I guess, like many other places. I guess it depends on your point of view. My point of view was, as a child, I'm just exploring Wichita, trying to didn't take it for being the city that it is now. It was more like it's like a playground to me. You had a lot of old buildings, old industrial buildings that were empty, come and gone long before I got into this world, but I'm exploring them as a child. Um, I found it adventurous, to say the least, to find that there were things here before I got here. So that was interesting to me. It catered to my adventurous,
Mhm.
and I liked it like that. It's open. Wichita is it's still very open compared to a lot of other cities. A big, um, a little big city is what it is. It's very open. You can at this point right now grab a camera, go out there, and if you got a car out there, I pretty much you can blow it up without anybody saying it. I wouldn't necessarily use that term, but let's say you went out, literally speaking, I mean, you can go out there and do things in this neighborhood that I call West Hollywood,
Mhm.
and there ain't a permit you have to worry about because there's no industry to beckon at this
Mhm.
point. An independent filmmaker would have a field day here if they actually said, well, there's a genial location here. I could just create a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the filmmaker, how creative they are. I mean, if you're just trying to mimic something that was done like maybe 2 years ago on the big cinematic screen in Harlem or something, you might have a whole problem. But there's a lot of interesting locations here.
Mhm.
I did a lot of locations when I was younger. I don't do all that now. But I did a lot there. There's so many areas that I shot that look, one area in particular looked like South America.
Nice.
That was in the film New Beginning that I shot back in the 90s. And
Mhm.
it was interesting. It was nothing but like how can I put it was like basically a dried up canal is what it
Okay.
was. Where water used to be no longer there, and then you got all these, spontaneous growth of leaves and trees and whatever. But you got the side of it was, since there was no um, man-made constructions there, the dirt was in its formation natural. And from certain angles, it's like, look, this looks like South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make this look like a jungle here without any work done to it.
Mhm.
These are fine in Wichita, all over the place. You find all sorts of different locations that you can actually take advantage of. I don't I don't do a lot of that now, but if I wanted to shoot a film and I wanted a location, I pretty much know I can find it here in Wichita, no problem. I won't even have to go very far.
Nice, nice, nice. Um, I want to ask you, as of right now, to the viewers, that will be listening, how many films that you can say that you have under your belt?
Oh shit! I can tell you exactly how many I got. 50, 52.
Ooh, oh, 50. Ladies and gentlemen, 52 films. 52.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
goodness.
the 52 film I'm working on right now is called The Garden of Eden 3.
Mm, mm,
Uh, I'll be done with. I'm a filmmaker that I take my time. The money has nothing to do with how to film, how long it takes, or whatever. I used to get upset when people took too long on film, but as I got older, I understand it now.
mm-hmm.
For real art, there's really no rush to get it done. The only reason why the word rush would ever be applied to a film, it has to do with nothing but money.
Mm-hmm.
Have plenty of money, or you have and money being a resource. If you have plenty of resources, or you have plenty access to the resource, time is a friend. Take the time. What's the rush?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I'll say this, because I'm man enough to say this, to the audience, I had to learn that. A lot of people don't know is that when I met RG, and man, it's literally like a 3-year anniversary. 3 years ago,
Mhm.
shout out to Justin Johnson of Double Digits and Great Big Story. Shout out to Justin Johnson, amazing filmmaker, documentary of Double Digits, amazing filmmaker. The thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, is that
He's working on his which will probably be his greatest one right now.
oh yeah, oh my goodness, I seen the review for that. Yeah, and Justin, if you listen to this, hey, you already know in my book that's great. It's super great. Yeah, it's super great. But as an artist, and also when I was just doing solely films at that time, for the ones that don't know, yes, LILEL was also a filmmaker as well. The no rush, it took me a few years to establish that.
Yeah.
It took me a few years to establish that because at that time I was, I would say, super excited, but at the same time, it was I was jaded. I was one of those people that, I had this big dream. Oh, I wanted to go to Hollywood and this and that. And, the whole glamours of glory and all these A-list stars. And, oh, this has to be precise. And I would say I probably was a perfectionist to a certain extent, and when you're a perfectionist, and definitely what I learned with music is like this, some people, they could pull it off, but for me, I'm talking about me solely personally, that perfectionism will put me in a box, like for instance, like, okay, your movies, right? Your films, you have your stand-ins, which are your action figures,
Right.
And at that time I didn't understand. I mean, I understood to a certain extent, but now my mind is open to the point of where you're using your resources, using what you got, and at the same time, it's the artistic way you're using it. Just like you said, go motion, stop motion, filmmaking. You know what I'm saying? Those are forms of art. You can have a stuffed animal, make it move, make it shake, and all that, and maybe in a 2-dimensional setting, and a 3-dimensional setting, because you also make your own sets and everything like that. In front, green screen, for the film geeks out there, chroma key, chroma key, and like
And you can use any type of screen. I think green screen just became a traditional
yeah.
metaphor for Hollywood. You could use a purple screen. It don't make no damn difference. Once I learned about chroma key and exactly what you want to take out of it, because here's the thing. If you study how all of that came to be, there used to be what was known in the industry, blue screen, all day long.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Superman on. But go ahead.
No. You can chime in at any time. You can chime in at any time. You're having a conversation. You chime in at any time, brother. Anytime. No worries. But the thing about it is that once I start to see, you know, how you love this thing,
Yeah.
you love this thing. You know, and when you love something, you know, you'll take the time to take the dedication and the practice and actually doing, you know.
You do your thing, you do your work.
Exactly.
It doesn't become indicative to, let's say, unfortunately, some people are in it for the fame,
Mm-hmm.
some people are in it for the money,
Mm-hmm.
some people are strictly in it for to go places of vacation, sort of that sort of. I go places that I've never been before because some movie sets they take you across. If you're on James Bond set, you're gonna go probably get 20 different locations
Mm-hmm.
across the globe. You know, I was a Bond girl in the movie, and I had all these places I went. But your career as an actress or loving this art is probably below. Your
Mm-hmm.
first objective was to be there so you go to all these different locations. I mean, when you cut out all the stuff that other people go do it for,
Mm-hmm.
real artist does it for the love of, and they're in it for the art of the love, and they'll
Exactly.
take their time with it. They'll cultivate this, and you're probably going to see less people love that art the same way that the artists actually have put it out. The artist could probably go on and do 50 other films and somebody bring that to their attention. Oh, I love that one film you gave out. What? Oh, yeah, but that's 20 years ago. I ain't worried about that. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on that. Real artists never get caught up in what the public wants to know about what they're doing right now. Oh,
Yeah.
I created this one thing, and you're trying to get all this admiration from the people. Then really, you're seeking fame because
Mm-hmm.
once a real artist is done with their work, they wash their hands of it. They're moving to the next project. You know,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much they care less what somebody thinks about the project. Yes, they'll
Yeah.
listen, have a conversation about it, they'll talk about it, but really, what's on that artist's mind is the project they're working on right now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the mix of it because it's more of the artist in the moment than create a piece of work and want everybody to love it. Yeah. You don't like my work? Yeah. You don't like my work? You know, I don't give a shit about that right now. At me,
Mm-hmm.
anything I've created after this moment right now, actually, I don't think about it that much. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm always thinking about the project I'm working on at that moment. And then even in the midst of that moment, I'm thinking about other projects I want to work on when I get done with this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because I got projects I want to work on after the Garden of Eden. I want to work on the Dark Box. It's a project that I'm going to shoot on Super 8,
Yeah.
and you know I'm gonna because I have got that's my upbringing. I started on Super 8. I can't say I'm infatuated with it. It was my beginning. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I knew at one time until I started shooting video. So shooting back Super 8 now that Kodak has brought the film back that I used to love, which was Ektachrome 160. I'm going to shoot the Dark Box. I'm kind of putting ideas in my head. I'm tinkering with some stuff. I want to shoot this completely on Super 8, unlike The Murderer, which was shot on like only 70 to 75% on
Mm-hmm.
Super 8, and the rest of it was shot on digital because of certain reasons. But I want to shoot all this on the next project on Super 8, completely on Super 8, you know.
Yes.
And then and just get off into it and put some things together, you know. And that's what I'm thinking about now while I'm finishing the Garden of Eden. And I can care less how Garden of Eden actually does with the public because my mind is on the Dark Box now.
Yeah.
And that's how we artists, real artists are. You know, the phony balonies and the fakers and whatever, and the people who seek fame, fortune, and all that, they're only thinking about the project that they want people to see when
Mm-hmm.
they're done. You know, because once it's done, they go through all that. You want to see my film? When would you make that film? Or what? 6 months ago? What are you working on now? Nothing. Oh shit! Get away from me.
And you tell the truth, you know, and that's why, and I learned that from you as well, because the thing about it is I'm always like now, like no matter how many albums, no matter how many shorts, no matter, how many projects I make, I'm always thinking about the next one. Like I'm at the point, like, and I'm like, even stuff from like 5 months ago, like, cause everybody, that views this, that subscribe to the channel, they know, like, L drop a album, like 2 or 3 albums per month. And it's just like a lot of stuff I've been had in the, in the stash, and then just brought it out. And because I'm looking at, okay, what else is that I can make, and what else am I looking forward to? Because like you said before, once you get that 15 minutes of fame, after that, it's over. You go back home to who?
Anyway,
Yourself.
it's over anyway. You can get that admiration, you get the awards or whatever, and after that it's over with. When I got my award or admiration at the Congress for the film Double Digits, and then this little short film that showed after that, which was the Shadow People.
Mm-hmm.
I stood in that big complex theater talking to people over, they were all, it was a big room for about 400 of them at first. And they was all in like 2 rows or 3 rows and lined up to sign autographs and all that. And all that was grand and dandy. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I realized something right away, guys, that after all these people left, now all of them stood in line and didn't talk to me. Some of them couldn't take the patience of it until they left early, or when they chose it. But when all the people were gone, there was only the people pushing the broom, sweeping up, and basically showed me the door. And I said, and I felt all of that. Oh man, I'm by myself now. All that gone.
Yeah.
Already paddling back, all gone. Went out the door with the people. And guess what? The door they showed me led me to the back alley. So I want you to remember something. When all that admiration and congratulations and you get your little award, it's all said and done, your little 15 minutes, the back door leads to an alley. And mine was an actual alley.
Woo!
Down the alley was my moped. I still had that. It's great, and it was great, but there was dead silence. You could hear a pin drop.
Woo!
So this is the conclusion of the admiration.
Mm-hmm.
This is reality. Nothing mad or upset about it. It's the people out there. Most filmmakers end up gravitating to the other side of that, which is the addiction of the admiration. You ever see this film called Hugh Jackman in it? I think it was called what was it called, Expressionist, or something to do with being a magician. I forgot the name of it. But he was a magician.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this movie, he had gotten hold of, they had fictionalized the storyline where he had gotten hold of Nicole Kelser's, if one of his experiments, this creates another human being through some type of electrical quantum thing. And it was set in the 1800s. Now, he creates another one of himself so he could do this special trick. Say, for instance, I'll just go off rails here because this is not so much in the movie as it is in actual words here. But he creates another himself so he could kill him on stage and reappear in the crowd somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, when he did that, he did some type of trick where it looked like he killed himself and he fell at the bottom of the stage. And the other him that he had created appeared in the audience going like this here and getting the applause of the audience. Now the real person, the magician, is underneath the stage. Nobody can see him. That's what made the trick look good because he went down to this device and then he reappeared over here like it's magic. And they thought he was dead. And underneath the stage, he's doing this number. He can hear the crowd with all the admiration and he's doing this number. He's sucking it in. No one can see him. And the shot is beautiful because it backs away, and all you get is you get these gleaming lights peering through boards and wood, but
Mhm.
you can hear the crowd in like a muffler, you know, and he's like this here. And you know what he's wanting. He wants that admiration. He
Mhm.
wants that fame. His double, his clone double up on the stage is getting the actual admiration because he's up there doing this stuff. Da, 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 it's me, da, 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 and he's down there like, I'm the one that done this to you. Give that to me. He didn't say that. That's his
Mhm.
gesture. And he's bowing to, himself or to the wood boards, as though they're. This is the 15 minutes that comes and goes through a filmmaker's life or career. When I say life, because a career is almost synonymous with fame.
Mhm.
So through your life, you'll get those moments where people will pat you on the back. And even with all of that admiration, you have to remember, as if you want to be really a cultural filmmaker, that moment is going to eventually go by and it won't be there. What are you going to do after that?
Mhm. Exactly. You guys heard about that. That's a lecture, one of many of today's podcast, the 15 Minutes of Fame, written and directed by RG.
Well, it's filmmaking, it's
Exactly.
life,
Exactly. Yeah. I also, you already mentioned it. I want to talk about, and the reason why I asked you about the question about how many films you made is because um I want the audience to know that RG Miller, he has experience in both, and I'll say in basically both aspects of filmmaking when it comes to actual film and digital. Like, as far as you seeing from both ends of the
Mhm.
spectrum, both,
Yeah.
like 1979, it with the 8mm camera shooting the murderer, and then to right now, 2021, just finishing Garden of Heathens 3. Like, as far as that timeline, how significant was your process of experience, from then to now?
I'm not sure I'm quite understanding.
As
What do
far
you
as filmmaking, using the filmmaking devices from film,
Mhm.
film and digital from, 1979 up till now in the digital age.
Well, I mean, we're talking almost 15 years of Super 8 filmmaking is what that comprised of. From 1979 to the mid 90s was Super 8. Uh, Video had come into play uh, in the late 80s. I tampered with it until and didn't really get it under an umbrella of knowing until I created the editor that allowed me to edit digital. I mean, I digital video. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Videotape at that time um, was more than what most people filmmakers probably wanted to deal with. They didn't think that film, as we know it, celluloid, was ever going to lead us, you know. And so my experiences with Super 8, I thought would graduate to 16 millimeter. I studied it. I thought eventually I would be shooting. I wanted to shoot 55 millimeter. I wanted to go past 35 and start shooting 55 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was never done in the industry. They had more broader business, and I thought a movie made on 55 millimeter would be extremely a lot more better. And back then, people talked about high definition, and that 55 millimeter was going to be the next stage for film because the grain would meet the qualifications of high definition
Mm-hmm.
as we know today. Then we didn't understand high definition. Experience wise, in that most people including myself, experience in film was all based upon how film worked. You know, it wasn't. It's not like we knew exactly how digital, not digital. I'm sorry, how videotape worked. Unless you worked in the TV production company, you probably knew very little about how magnetic tape and all of that became work and could become usable in productions. You know, because film was dominant. You know, and so after years and years and years of going through that from 1979 to pretty much late 90s, the experience wise of that just be, well, you know, I'm like, it's the transition was really rough, Alex. It was not smooth, it was not subtle, it was rough. So there was to learn it the way that I know it now was impossible because it was not easy. I was taking something away from myself that I had become accustomed to. You know, Super 8 film was what I knew how to use. I had techniques that I could look at the frame. You know, as little as they was, I was looking at the frame. I can't even look at it now because the vision isn't what it was 20, 30 years ago. Looking like that, and you can see you can see everything in that frame. That little BS thing. And people then will ask me, how do you see that? I trained myself. Now that all that, I don't even use the stuff anymore, other than these two projects I'm working on. I can't see it like that. I have to put it into a editor and look at the frame by frame, or just look at it through the digital copy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because that's I feel like that's very important because you have experience in all aspects. Like a lot of people, you know, my age, they just, you know, got an SD card and, you know, plug it into the camera and then press it and go. Like a lot of people don't understand the hard amount of work. Like for me, I'm a person to where, like, I want to work for that shot. I want to work for that, you know, that production. Like I want to be able to, when I get done with it, I can embrace, you know, the progress. Like if it happened too fast for me, it's like, where was the fun in it? Like I want to have, like you said before, those frustrated moments because I could be able to learn and conquer that. Because if I have to have a task or another film or another project to where it's going to be something harder to get to, I have to be able to understand how to go through that frustrated moment to be able to conquer more things and then more levels.
Yeah, I mean, I think a person should, an artist should enjoy every aspect of their creation. If you really want to indulge in the art, then quit trying to be, for instance, just drug director. You know, try writing this stuff. You know, I'd say you have to. I'm just pointing out certain things. For instance, I always thought in the beginning I would have somebody writing my story. I never thought I would write it myself because I never. I wasn't that good at it, and English was not my strong suit. It was one of my weakest points in school. Writing or studying English and studying literature was not my strong point. I like to read. I didn't want to read stuff that bored me to death. You know, I didn't want to read stuff that had too much character, soppy build up and all that. I didn't want to deal with all that. Give it to me. If they're gonna fight, they fight. Get be done with it. What I learned through this process of filmmaking, if I want something, and then because I was wanting to be an actor strictly, I didn't even want to be a director, didn't want to be a writer, and I certainly didn't want to be a cameraman. And I didn't want to do any other part of the production. But I learned as if you're an actor, you're just definitely waiting for someone to come to you for with a story. So you may be waiting most of your life before you get one or two parts that you indulge in. Now, having this experience of being 57, I can count the films that you know, on my probably my first hand and second hand, I could count the films that I could say, look, oh, I think my first hand that I actually enjoy as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them were experienced in other forms, writing, producing them, directing them, doing the production work in
Mm-hmm.
them. You know, the actor part. So out of 52 films, 5 of them would be ones that I just love the acting and love the performance.
Mm.
I would never probably, if I was just an actor, I would never have done all the other 40 some odd things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because my ego wouldn't let me do it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna have any fun with it. And what if that's all you do as an actor? You're just an actor. I'm just waiting for the right script. Well, you'll be waiting a while because everybody's not going to approach everybody in that manner. You know, you always got these people coming up with ideas and say, "Oh yeah, this one here, this guy be a great actor." For instance, I'm sure when they made Shazam,
Yeah.
they was not thinking about The Rock being Black Adam right away. Because why? Because his stature at that time had not hit to the point where it is now. Now, once he hit to where he is now, he made about 3 films before they made Black Adam. They had somebody put it in the word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'd make a good Black Adam. Now, I've read Shazam, and I know the character Black Adam. So when I see the original Black Adam, I see The Rock.
Right.
He's bald headed, he's got that tan look. That's the way the character actually looks in the comics. For some reason, back there in the 40s, that was the look. He fits the character. Now, will he actually do a great job? That depends on the writer and the rest of it. But as an actor or a filmmaker, you have to say to yourself, do I really want to enjoy the aspects of what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to fully enjoy it, I might have to get out of my comfort zone and actually produce something.
Yeah.
I may have to actually grab the camera and start swinging some angles. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? All that began in my beginning life history, wanting to be an actor. I realized I'm gonna have to go ahead and put my own camera up there and do my performance, whatever the fuck it might be. And then I had to start writing stories for myself to be in. Not everything that I wrote that I did is great, but I have to say when I did write them as an actor, I can say, as a writer, I like that. That's not the best writing, but as the actor, I think I can make this shit work. And I learned
Mm-hmm.
you can have a terrible script, but if you got an actor that's willing to read that shit like he's alive, you might have something on your hands. Because there's some terrible writing out there. Everybody is not a great writer. And I'm one of them. I'm not a great writer. So the actor needs to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That drove me to start understanding, okay, if I could do that, then I could do costumes. I could pick this, I could pick that. It just led to a multitude of stuff. And this multitude led to a cultivation of being the artist and not just, I'm a director. I want to do nothing else but direct until somebody brings me a script. I want to do that. I want to do something else. And I felt being an artist and not specifying what part of the production you only want to be in, you become more cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just an actor, that's all you do. Then you're just an actor. Don't expect any more compliments somewhere else. Don't expect no one to compliment you on that was great writing. You're not the writer. Shut up. The writer's over there. If you are an artist, you can say, well, yeah, I walked over there. I did the acting. I did a few other things on set. Then I expect that. What the Prince told him before he died. He was basically the artist because why? Because he did a lot of shit. He didn't only just sing. He did the competitions. He helped other artists. He worked behind the scenes. He done stuff that most singers will not do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lead singer. I don't do anything like that. So he done a lot of stuff. That's why his work is going to be known a lot longer than his lifespan.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Um, as far as set design, because one thing about, because you wear, as you talked about, you wear those many hats, and you just actually, talked about the significance of wearing many hats, not just being an actor, not just being a director, not just being a writer. As far as set design, how would you describe how you put together your sets? Because you put together miniatures, you put together the whole 9 yards, and you utilize in your studio.
All that has to be a formation of the cultivation of an artist. That's why internet art films are perfect for that matter. Can't do that on a Hollywood major production. There's too many people that work there. You got to do all this red tape. You can't go in there and say, I'm the actor, I'm gonna start doing the costume design and all that. You get fucking around off that set, No, we got people doing that shit. What the hell are you doing? You just set up job. In the internet art film, you have the luxury. I mean, it's just like it sounds. You have the luxury to pick what you want to do. Me, I choose to pick, dabble in everything. Some days, like when I got Katie Acklam that works with me now, formerly Katie Stevens, she does all my makeup stuff on certain films, like the Garden of Healing. She's done some makeup work on that one. But her biggest work was Caves of the Vampires. I would tell people, go to YouTube, RGs Studios YouTube, and look up Caves of the Vampires, and you'll see Terry Stevens' great work. She put DJ Eric in this fantastic looking get up of a vampire. He's played by Morpheus, I think that's what his character's name. But anyway, I like to indulge in that because as an actor, as an artist, these things in the internet art film, you got all these different things you could choose. See, here's how it kind of works out. I write the script. I got primal exclusive rights to write whatever fucking story I want. So I write it. And then I take that. Let me use this magazine for a 10-pole example.
Okay.
I got a script, RG, I'm talking to myself. I got a script, very good story. Man, you should read it. Just take time. You would love a part in this, RG. I think you should play, not the lead, you should play the co-star in this. Give me that. So remember, I'm talking to myself. Give me. I do like that character. I bring that character. That's the actor we talk. I bring that character. Producer, let's give me that script. I gotta go. Again, I'm talking to myself. Producer snatches the script. I'm gonna talk to the costume. Now, normally in our film, we go to Amazon, we go to all these stores, we buy costumes just because you're there. You know what, costume designer? I think you should take time and build this particular costume for this movie. Don't buy it off Amazon, build it. Look at this. Should build that. And see, I pick and choose is what I'm saying. Things I want to do in the internet art film. Why? Because I have the luxury to do that. In Midwest Hollywood, you can do that. You get the script and you say, you know what? I'm going to do that part. I only want this one right here. Why? Because I'm a damn good actor and I'm going to make that motherfucker shine.
Yeah.
Can't do that in Hollywood. Why? Because you're being paid to do this goddamn groveling. Now you just do it. See, and you pick and choose what you want to do. And then you say, you know what? I want to do the costumes. I want to build that Iron Man suit. Just like this here. You got that happening. Can't do that in Hollywood. Why? Because I got these guys in the union building this shit. Get the fuck away from them. That's the way you see it. And that goes through the whole design of the internet art film. You get to pick, and the artist gets to pick and choose what they want to do to please what? That inner core self. Call it what you want. Some people might call it ego, whatever. But it's the inner self that you're pleasing. If I want to do, like for instance, the Garden of Eden, I didn't want to do a whole lot of green screen or blue screen or chroma key for those who like to use that terminology. I wanted to do some location shooting. So me and DJ Eric, we went and did some location shots. Why? Because I said so. You know, where in probably a bigger production that's paying you a lot of money, you go where they tell you to go, you shoot what they tell you to shoot, you shut the fuck up. You know, not, I went around locations in Wichita, picked them out, we shot them, they look great in the film. Less green screen, better locale, and it looks great. That's internet art film, and it cultivates the self, the artist. And you become more ingrained and more cultivated, you know. In each film, there's a great deal of slice of that internet art film artist in it. You know, you can watch any of my movies and you can say he's all in there. You know, he's choosing what he wants to do and he's loving every second of it.
Yeah. Love it. That's man. Hey, that's a great example on how you showed that and you said that, displayed that. Because a lot of people, whether it be Hollywood or B or grassroots, it's definitely, it's like I look at grassroots and independent as a home cooked meal, and then the mainstream, the major studios as a microwave, toaster oven. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, well, and we have to keep in mind as an artist. I mean, I'm not knocking. I love Hollywood. I get lots of inspiration from the big leagues. I'm not knocking nothing they do, but I'm just keeping it real. If you really want to enjoy your art and actually experience something that's going to stay with you, do an independent film almost to the point where you're involved with every aspect of it. You will never find a better enjoyment. You will find it's great to work on a big production from a major studio and they pay you all this goddamn money, but you gotta keep in mind, they're paying you to do something specific. You better do it or you don't get paid. And that's bottom line. Very seldom do those big artists and those bigger productions. For instance, you got what's his name? The made Tenet recently. Christopher, what was his name? That made the Batman movie. Nolan, Mr. Nolan. Disgruntled about how Warner Brothers is treating him with his movie with Tenet. Not to say he didn't have creative control over that. He had a problem as much as anybody that big can have. But here's where it failed, where the control failed. They told him we're going to release the movie on streaming and in the theaters. Boy, he lost his shoelaces. You can't do that. Who are you talking to? You're talking to a major studio. You know what I'm saying? They do what the fuck they wanted to. You don't like it. You don't spend $300 million on a goddamn movie and release it the way you talk about, so you can get your money back in an era of pandemic. You just go do it and see what happens. Streaming is not a bad idea. They're probably going about it. It's experimental at this stage, and they're probably going about it the wrong way. But the fact that it ain't going nowhere, streaming is what it is. I learned a long time ago when YouTube came to my existence, that was the way to show film, right there, internet art film, not maybe major movies, but internet art film. But you don't have to free. Nobody gonna pay to see this shit anyway. So putting it on there for free is the best thing you can do. When it comes to streaming a major production, their best bet is to have a limited window for theatrics and cut it down. Instead of 4,000 screens, 250, maybe 500 screens. That's it. You don't need 4,000 screens all over the place.
Exactly.
That bends the money out so much that by the time somebody actually goes see the film somewhere, he's probably the only person in the theater, and the theater ain't making no money, and they have to close down anyway. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you spending $4,000 for a fucking movie that ain't making but $15? And it's because you got to spread it out too thin. You collecting all the money, in 4,000 theaters, and you're splitting it with the theater owners who got the franchise, and then you got to pay all the people who made this goddamn shit, which I'm sure you already did. So your profit margin is going to shrink. And they knew back 20 years ago, this moment was going to go bust at some point.
Yeah. See, RG is dropping gems, y'all. RG is dropping gems on the Instant Gear podcast. The main goal is to drop gems, drop gems.
Mhm.
So uh it was a documentary made by Justin Johnson. Shout out to you again.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I remember the first time I watched The Great Big Story, which was like, it was like more of a snippet. But then when I got into double digits, oh my goodness, like it was that movie is a very intimate movie to me. It's like it's intimate. It's really, like it was made with love. It was made with, from the heart.
Yeah, yeah. Justin loved making that film. I can tell you pretty hard in it. I looked at it. Me and my brother looked at it like maybe a week ago. And we just wanted to see like a certain part of it, of course. And we ended up watching three quarters of it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I come to realize after I had watched it only at that moment how real significant that film is as historical piece
Mm-hmm.
of my life and how well it was done. You Beyond the emotional aspects of it, the film was very entertaining. Something
Mm-hmm.
was told me at the beginning of that when I first was made, which I didn't take really to heart that way. I looked at, well, this is really good. I said, actually, just this. I mean, after 6 years, this movie has always been out and playing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, damn, this movie actually still is good. It
Mm-hmm.
was well made. And I have to give Justin his props. But again, I have to say that I actually see that's where his heart is in those types of
Mm-hmm.
films. It's like it's his own take on documentaries, not just the one he did with me, but that's going to be his take on any documentary that he does. It's going
Yeah.
to be done with Justin love. It's going to be good. You can better believe it. And that's why I say his next film that he's making, Nipple Factory, is going to be good. I can
Mm-hmm.
already so my brother, this if you seen Double Digits, that is just a pinnacle pebble of what Justin is doing. I said his heart is in this arena.
Mm-hmm.
That's the he is. We all got to find out what kind of filmmaker we are. The real ones. I'm not talking about the ones that seeking money, fame, and a career that's beyond anything money can drive. I'm talking about real art.
Yeah.
Art that has significance. Art that has that doesn't leave you after many years. You can look back on that and say, you know what, that's like I did. That's good. That's a story about myself. And I'm sitting here talking about I don't even do my own work that way. And I said, wow, that's pretty good. I look at my work and I go, okay, yeah, but I look at that as an audience, like, wow, that's really good. Because it's easy to be judgmental in my own work. Where I watch something else and it's actually about me, I'm looking at it really cross-eyed. And so I'm like, wow, that the whole stigma of me not really wanting to look at this is not there. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I actually like looking at this movie,
Mm-hmm.
this documentary. I said, this is good. I don't even do my own work that way. I like my work, but do I watch it religiously over and over after many years? No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I may pick it up every now and again. I might watch 2 or 3 minutes of something I've done, but I'm pretty much done. My soaking it up comes to me of the production itself. How long it takes me to get it done. I might watch it
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over. But once I have done finished it and put the inside on it, I'm lucky if I look at this motherfucker up 3 times completely through.
Yeah.
I'd be lucky if I do that. But his work about me, I have watched more than my own. So
Mm-hmm.
3/4 of it that day I watched it, looking, I said, this is actually really good. I like this. I like that. Wow. I like looking at my brother talking. I like looking at my family members talking. Some that I can talk to me as I want to. I almost like looking at them on the screen, but I need to talk to them in person.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing about being an artist. You got you got to find out where your heart is at in order to actually put out that certain love that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing you do is gonna be people gonna fall down over it. You will wake up in the morning saying, my love is in each part of my film. You can find it. All you gotta do is look at it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. Now I want to go. I want to go. This is going amazing. I want to go a little bit deeper. Um. So, and also in the movie, and also you stated, um, while back,
Mhm.
uh, before you got back into making films, uh, I remember it was a time to where, you know, uh, it was the new beginning. You're working on that project, and at the same time, you were battling with addiction, drug addiction, drinking, alcoholism. I wouldn't say alcoholism, but drinking and
It
can,
was an ism. It was the ism, but go ahead.
it was the ism. It was the ism. Okay, yeah,
Alcoholism. Mhm.
okay. And can you explain from going through that phase of those vices, and then afterwards getting back inspired from your nephew after so long of being in being in behind bars and coming back like to life, as I would say.
Well, all of that was just most of that was, life in it. It was not planned. It was in no way. Matter of fact, there was more effort put in to forget all of that and move forward than it was to plan a research. That was not the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Got out of prison, wanted just to work and do a job, and I found that job. I still work that job today, um, through several ups and downs and wouldn't say miscalculations, but other avenues. I'm still at this job. The
Yeah.
thing was to go to work, come back home, and to forget about filmmaking. I did that for about 6, 7 years. I did forget about it. But then I destroyed, because that was a love that started way back when I made my first film called The Murderer back in '79. That
Mm-hmm.
love between 1979 and 1984 was my greatest love. It is the heart of the internet art form, where you look at some of the films that was made from like 1990 all the way to '94 was not. Those films were just basically uh, trying to be direct, trying to be actor, trying to get into the film business, as they say, trying to get your big chance is what that was. I think, looking back on that, moment, being re-inspired by my cousin, not my cousin, my nephew,
Mm-hmm.
was a moment of reflection. I saw, I saw myself in him.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, at that young age, he looked maybe only in my eyes only, but he looked like me. And then I saw my brother in him too. And I remember how we used to play together, me and him. Freedom to do what the fuck we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that. You know what? He brought that kid, he brought his son over, and me and him kicked it and played. And my brother told me before the boy said, he said he wants to make a movie. I said, a movie? I said, how does he know anything about that? I told him about it. I said, oh boy. And it had ignited a fire that was still smoldering. I said, okay. So I created all this goddamn shit and created the script that I haven't wrote. I haven't wrote nothing in fucking goddamn years. And I just, all of a sudden, bang, shit just come out. The tune. Everything about the tune just led into me and him spending a weekend shooting this movie. You know. Then all of a sudden he drops out of the damn movie and didn't want to do it. But I can understand this kid. The weekend was enough. He didn't want to come back and finish up shit. This is enough. I got a week, 3 days. Now remember now, every other film has to take hold here. And I'm upset. I got my major actor. I'm still trying to work stuff like I would have if I was trying to get a big shot in Hollywood. We got to finish this movie within 5 days, 2 weeks, all this whole shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nephew let me know. We only got a 3-day minimum here. You better use it while you can. First rule internet art film, while you got the time, do it. You know, after that, sit down and wait for the next one. So what happens after that, Ellis, is this. I seen in him the road to make internet art films or make movies. I didn't come up with a name yet to make movies in the way that I wanted to make. That weekend allowed me to say, you know what? Let's cut this bullshit out. Let's cut that bullshit out. I ain't got to make movies like everybody's used to seeing. I can make them any way I want. Get this shit together right there. Let's get that shit together. And next thing you know, I got the tune. Tune was way too long in its original cut. Now, if you watch Tune today, its original cut, which is the only cut there is, it's too long. But after that film, I realized something. I said, I don't even have to write these stories. So people call it a big production. They call it first act, second act, third act. Write a 10-page script, call it a day. And, oh, you have to have each page got to be 3 minutes. Who says? I can take 1 page and make it last a whole hour if I want to. Who 3-minute rule to a page? See, I got pages right here, using the so-called 3-minute rule. Omega Man, be over with right now. This right here is all that was left in the Omega Man. 4 episodes at 3 minutes a pop. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got episode 9, episode 10, 11, 12, and possibly 13. Actually, about 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 pages. Each page being about 4 minutes or better. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can do what you want. You can say, oh, I can make that last. The way you wrote script the dialogue, you can. If you rush through it, yeah, it'd be a couple of seconds. It's time to say it, the way you say it. And I started learning these techniques as I worked for my little nephew. And the next film I think I made after that was Ace Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always wanted to do a James Bond type film. Not per se exactly like James Bond, but I wanted to create a character that goes on and on and on and on and on, always shows up in like
Mm-hmm.
always wins. Ace Thunder Ace became the name. When I made that film, I wrote that it was like 15 pages and it stretched out to be 45 minutes. That's when I coined the term internet art. Because I took all of this crazy shit and start chopping it up and putting it together. And what I didn't like about the story, I threw away. And what I liked, I put together and tied it all together into a concept.
Mm-hmm.
And it became that concept became known as internet art film.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
that stuck with me. And that was before I actually started putting them on the internet. But the thought of my mind was, in the end, it's going to be on the internet.
Nice. Hey, clap it up for internet art. Hey, clap it up for internet art films. Definitely. I want to know, as far as the mindset. I mean, you really talked you talked really well about this already, but when you start out making films, okay, you know, from what we always talk about is actually the motive of actually going out there and doing, and like, from, like you already said to me before, you know, you did have you know, times to where, you know, you was reading, you know, the library, internet, you know, TV production, film hit the desk, you know what I'm saying, you know. But as far as the act of doing, like, when you came in and started your first 8mm films, let's say The Murderer or whatever, how was that experience, just actually just doing it and didn't even know about like editing yet?
It was exhilarating. There was no rules, none. I just grabbed the camera. One day I bought 15 minutes of film and I had in my head point one, point two, point three, A, B, and C, and what was going to happen within A, B, and C. It wasn't even a script. It was like one or 1.5 pages of what I want to see in A, B, and C. And I left a lot of room for improv, and I made it up as I went along. And that's how it happened. I held the camera in my hand, started in my grandmother's house, opening the cabinet drawer, there was a knife, and this doll's hand reached in and tore the knife. That's it. That's all you see. You didn't see him grab it. He just reached in there, and there's a knife right here. You see his hand go like that over the knife. That was it. That was enough. And then with the next scene, you see the door crack open. You see no doll, and you see the crack open. You hear maybe, and well, didn't have sound. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. You know that he's back there. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So, the next scene, you see the guy. He's walking. He's walking down the street, and he's got his hat. He's looking around. So who's this guy? And he stops and looks in the open field. It's like, why is he looking in the open field? Oh, I don't know. This looks like a good scene. And we're going to the next shot. The next shot, he's at the house, which you can see in the murderer in the credit shots. You see me walking through his house, and all of a sudden his doll raises up for his tooth, and all of a sudden, oh, his knife comes up in his hand. Of course, it was tape, string, pulled his hand up like that. All of this was improv on the spot. It was exhilarating. I had never been so excited and thrilled to shoot these scenes, awaiting how they would look later. And they all look good. They all look good.
Nice, nice.
Then it got to the point where we got to the backyard. I ran from the front yard to the backyard, around the car to the backyard, and the dog somehow followed me. We got a couple of shots of the dog bouncing around, but he makes it to. We leave a lot to the imagination of the audience, but we know he got to the gate. And when me running to the tree and falling down, and why the man falls so much, I don't know. We just had to have him fall down by the tree. Why? The idea was I want a knife to stick in the tree. That was the whole thing. How it happens, we don't care. Just get by the goddamn tree, trip over your own fucking feet, and then by that time, before the audience can think about anything else while I'm falling down or whatever, we see the dog standing by the door that we showed earlier, open it up. He's standing by that door, and his hand goes up again with the knife, and he drops it, and the knife goes like that, flying through. That was my first special effects shot. It went well. I was like, toe up. It went well. Want to see how that looked. And it cruises right by my face like this here, and sticks into the tree. All of it on wire. Couldn't see the fish wire at that time. It was translucent, and the light shined right through it. It looked invisible.
Wow.
And people was like, they were toe up by that shot. And by the time they got through talking, the movie's damn near over with. You know, they missed seconds, valuable seconds of what happens next. Dog runs again. I take off running. I run behind the house. I find this, what seems to be some strange looking gun. and now everybody's trying. Now they're flipping from that to the gun. What kind of gun is that? Blah, 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 blah. And now I'm firing the gun. Now, how the dog manages to get way back in the back to where in the yard doesn't matter, because by this time I'm firing this gun and you see explosions going off near the dog like this.
Yeah.
Another special effects shot that went well, and then the dog gets blown up to bits with one explosion, and that's the end of the movie.
Nice. Which you use a lot of practical in-camera effects in your movies. You know, you do some, post, but what especially, shout out to the RG archives, especially on VHS, like, all right, did you just get these ideas from watching movies and testing them, or like, because I know you can't say too much, but as far as like your special, like how I would say, how did you start just experimenting? Was it start off with a book, or just watching, or just barely experimenting?
Part of being creative is actually you get inspired by stuff you already have seen, and then you get an idea. I want to try that on set. I'm not a fan of too much. I'm not a fan of rehearsal. I'm more of like, you can do one or two rehearsals, but goddamn, you might miss the best part trying to get to something that you think is great. Film the goddamn rehearsal and be done with it. You know, that's the kind of guy I am. So, you know, being the real scientist and experimental guy, because I'm a scientist really at heart, I want to film the experiment at hand. If it goes well, great. If it doesn't, so what? We'll try something else next time in another movie. We got plenty of films to make. We ain't got to try to do it in this one movie. The explosion, thank God, these explosions were done as when I was a kid before the movie days. When my brother would take a big old block, put it across like a cinder block, a board like that, so it'd be like a seesaw. This year we full of dirt and whatever debris, and then you throw a brick on top of it and go, and it shows an explosion. We were always fascinated by this kind of shit. I put that as that's how you do an explosion. Same way I did as a kid. Did by 6 or 7 of them. Those were real explosions. They were just boards and stuff that leaned against, you know, a cinder block, and it was kept out of frame just enough to where all you're going to get is an explosion that looked like it comes from the ground itself. And those are how I did the explosion. All of it was a very experimental at the time, but was well practiced in as growing up as a kid. I've done many of them as a kid. Never done one really, really big, but I've done them real small to where you could probably build a paper car size of a real car, and you can probably use that same technique to throw the car in the air and it'll spin like that and fall down. You probably could. I mean, I ain't never done it yet, but I've had it on my mind. Maybe we'll do it in the movie Expendables at some point.
Nice. Coming soon.
Yeah. Maybe when Justin gets back in town, some of the Hollywood people that work for in LA and come back, we'll do some stuff like that. We'll see what happens.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I would say I would ask a few more questions.
Yeah.
You kind of already answered this, but as far as you starting off, because this is very important. I would say for me, this is very important, but you started off from the ground up to where you are today. And a lot of people, you know, the ones that don't know is that, you know, it's been, you know, it's always, you know, ups and downs, struggles, and trials and all this stuff. And, you know,
part of life.
Yeah, it's part of life. And how, I would say this, from just working, you know, just working at your grandma's house doing these films and in her, you know, yard and the garden, all that stuff like that, and to where you are right now, I would say, did the act of never giving up, or if there was some type of spark there that kept you going, because it's hard for grassroots artists and, you know, independent artists to, you know, want to keep going on, because a lot of them, like you said, looking for that gratification, looking for that, you know, looking for the fame and or the money and all that stuff like that. Like
I was the same. I was looking for gratification and all that. It was like a split. There were certain the ups and trials and downs of my life. I won't even call it a career. Careers I was chasing with fame. Up and down of my life was helped me become grounded. Being incarcerated, thus cutting out the things that I thought I liked in my life, like drugs, alcohol, all these other bad behaviors, which are cultivated for other various reasons, allowed me to extinguish these. Now, what I tried to extinguish was the film career that I had done. Now, what I did end up doing eventually, the film career that existed from 1990 to probably 97, I extinguished. I was like, you know, but I did not extinguish the core where it comes from, because I did love that. I was doing that before the drink. It was the time that was the most innocent, and that's what I held on to, not intentionally. is something that cannot be extinguished the same way you extinguish the bad behavior. Because here's the thing, when you know you're doing something that you don't want to do, you have a tendency to have different thoughts about it. And you have a tendency, there's this overlay of, I want that shit out of my life. As people say, when you're sick and tired, you eventually, if you live long enough and survive, you get rid of it. But stuff that you're not sick and tired of, that you're actually close to, that stays. That's the fire that keeps smoldering, whether you know it or not. It may come up a little. You might say, something might come up where somebody comes to Richard and say, hey, Richard, you remember you used to make films way back in 1980s? Yeah, I go, yeah. But we got this little small part once you because you ain't made a film since 1980, 88. You think you might want to make a film? Guess what happens? That smoldering fire now bursts. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Why? Because that's the innocent. Now they come to me, you want to do some drugs and blah, blah, blah. Nah, I'm done with that. No. Why? That's something I want out of my life. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. It was never extinguished because I always wanted that innocence. I may have tried to extinguish it, but what all I managed to do was got rid of the stuff that had led to the bad behaviors, like the 1990s, 97, all that time I was making that movies, not from the heart, for the fame, the fortune, the money. That's gone. You know, they can offer me all the money in the world, and I would sit down and think about it. I really don't need it. I don't want to do that part. I don't want to do this. The love of the film and the innocence of it is what I love. You know, if I can do what I want without you bathing fools in my business, we may have some type of deal we can talk about. But just do it for money. I got all the money I want now. As far as my interest, I got a job that I go to every day and I enjoy it. Why? Because it feeds the studio. Period. And I don't mind talking to these people about not movies. We talk about our behavior. You know, they're in jail. I'm not. And they ask me questions like, how do you stay out of jail? By getting rid of that bullshit that got you in here. That's how you stay out of jail. You know what I'm saying? So two comes, yeah, they come hand in hand. So that question to answer is things you want out of your life, you tend, if you're sick and tired, you get rid of it. The stuff that you actually love, it never actually goes away. It's still there. It just has to find an outlet.
Wow. Amazing. So, as far as, let's say, you came back, you did the tomb with your nephew. How did you start discovering YouTube and uploading on YouTube?
I was looking for something to put on the website, to put on the internet. My brother got me to look at to buy a computer. And then a friend of mine told me to get on eBay. Which eBay led to me having a financial core later on for my filmmaking studio. The internet allowed me to get to look at stuff like demo. Then YouTube was one of those things. I think it was like Yahoo first. I got into, or MySpace. Those were the first ones that I actually got into. And then around this era of time came up YouTube. And YouTube, I said, wow, what is YouTube? And I said, let me put my film up there. You can go all the way back to my YouTube channels, all the way to the beginning, and the first things you start seeing is cheap channel news. And that was the first thing that I put up there.
Yeah.
I created this character called Frederick U. Choker. And I'm thinking about syndicating that and showing all the old episodes again, on my YouTube. That's how it began. That's how my YouTube experience began, creating these short little bitty episodes. And then later on, I said, let me put my movies on here. Because I think when you first start, they usually give you a lot of time. You couldn't put nothing on there longer than 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was putting these little short 3-minute pops on it. And I had a shitload of most of them that I had deleted at this point. But I kept cheap channel news. And that leads all the way back to like I think the beginning was 2010 or 2011.
Yeah.
It might be as early as 2009. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I created all these characters, and that, as an artist, that gave me a chance to explore different characters without making up all these backstories about it. I didn't have to tell you, I'm afraid you told him, tell him here, I don't give a shit out of there. He's a shyster, you know, and he will sell you anything, you know. President, you told him, we're gonna talk about the UFO.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of stuff. And it allowed me a lot of freedom, you know. And it fitted my character, my artist characterization of freedom and what I wanted to do. And that became my early form of YouTube until I started making the internet art film.
Nice, nice, nice. Yes. Also want to say too that to the audience that RGs Films are out on his channel. All you gotta do is type in RG Studios. You'll see him. You can't miss him. You can't.
There.
Yeah. Also on Instagram. Also, he's on Instagram on RCH Mill, and also with the new Midwest Hollywood Instagram page. All platforms, all walks of life. And me as being inspired when I was just solely just doing films and everything like that, as both we both know, it like I said, like it's a lot of things that I've learned, like from you, and that gems you dropped to me that many people wouldn't, or many people because they look at age, or they're like, oh, you're not, they don't want to share because they feel like, oh, somebody's gonna be better than them, or I think you're gonna just run away with the knowledge and all that stuff like that. And
Very secret.
Yeah, yes,
Very secret.
very, very, very. Like, how did it feel as far as after double digits, and like you said, that 15 minutes of admiration, and when you told me that you were already focused on making another film, and like, because I'm stumbling a little bit because this is really touching me, but how important is your catalog of work to you? Like, how important, how endearing is it to your heart?
Oh, it's my creation, and very endearing. I I love them. That's all there is to it. And I can sit back on certain days or maybe a moment, and I can watch them with reverence of love. Um, I I'm glad that I did them. You know, I don't want to ever have to wake up in the morning like I did with between 1990s and 1997 stuff and look at it. Oh, I hate that. You know, I don't want to ever do that. If I hate something, I don't want to be involved with it, you know. But I mean, everybody goes through their moments. We're gonna probably have those films we
You went on mute, RG. I can't hear you. You went on mute. I mean, you went on mute. You was letting it loose. I can tell you was letting it rip. Can't hear you. Ah, yes, yes. He's bringing out the microphone, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing out the mic. See here. He was about to let it rip too. I could feel it. RG's getting his microphone. Don't worry, guys. see here.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, there we go.
Hold on a moment. I got to check something here.
All right, cool, cool. Take your time.
I have to check my laundry and I have to eat me a little bit of my dinner is
Oh
done.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know what went wrong with the first camera's mic, but I guess it popped out. I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say about whatever we was talking about.
I think
What was we talking
I think I had lost. I think we was talking about the catalog of work, and when you don't want to go back to like 1997 and 90 and say like I hate that work, and it's just like you said,
Yeah. I want to wake up anytime after 2010. I want to say I love my work.
Mhm.
I love doing what I do. I've had enough of trying to chase and tap dance for fame and fortune. I've had enough of that. Right now, I can stand clear and say that studio is making resource money to make films. Starting next year, we're gonna move into what we call creative budget type films, where I spend somewhere around over $1,000 making something creative. Won't do it on every internet art film, but there'll be certain ones that say we're gonna spend this much money and not concern ourselves with, how are we gonna get our money back? I don't give a shit. I'm spending it. I want to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that's a Hollywood that probably wanted to exist at one time, but everybody, these greedy people get involved and sharks get involved in Hollywood, and now you got this. They only create these certain films to generate more money than what they got.
Mhm.
And but that's Hollywood. I'm at where I want to be at in life. I will never create a film that I'm not happy with. It may not go the way I want to, but I'll be saying, I shall always say I enjoyed making that film.
Exactly.
Because if I don't enjoy making it, I'm not touching it. I'll throw the film in the trash can. I'm not messing with that. Why? Because I'm not having no fun. I don't want to fuck with, whatever the reasons. If the film gives me that slight edge that I'm not talking about the tribulation types where you have to have that moment. I'm saying if I feel that this film I'm gonna wake up one morning saying that I'm going to hate this part or my participation in this film, then it's over. I'm throwing it in the trash can and we'll move on to the next project. And I don't pick projects like that. I try to avoid them at all costs. Not saying it can happen. I try to avoid it because I've had some in the past. I woke up. The New Beginning was one of the films I wish I never made, but I ended up making it. I looked at it, terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Final and last question. And we appreciate you. We appreciate your time, brother. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Can
Make it
you said what? Make it a good one. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Make it a good one.
Can you explain to the audience how important, especially when you're doing everything is coming out of your pocket, funding a studio, no matter what it is, you could be artist, painter, whatever, all the creatives in the world, and you're an independent grassroots artist. How important is it to fund the passion to do whatever? If you got to work, you got to go flip sandwiches, you got to go work at Target.
Is the most important aspect of being a creative and artist is, this is your money. Like I said, early in this interview and the game itself, if nothing else in your life you ever do as an artist, always at one point say, look here, I want to fully enjoy being an artist.
your money must be the first thing on the table, and hopefully the only goddamn money on the table. So you call the shots from top to bottom, and at the end of the bottom is you're not worried about if you get your money back. I'm not worried about that. You're out of the spectrum of the race now. This is all about the art. That's all it's about. If you say, I want those suits to look like something that was in the film that I saw, then God damn it, go make it happen. Put that money in it. What if everybody hates the film? Who gives a shit what they love? I'm loving it, Make that shit look like what I love, because I want this to be a piece of art. And then you begin to understand what it is that you actually love. Now, in the hopes of what you're doing, you hope someone will, matter of fact, when someone actually likes it, it becomes more of a joy. That joy lasts forever. There were kids that told me 10 years ago, matter of fact, in here is one of my little DVD things, where I put my DVDs in these little things like this here. And this one here has the Wild Bunch, the Wild Bunch. The kids tell me, I love Sokobo. I'm like, Sokobo? And I'm like, I'm taken back, Sokobo. Oh, and the parents come to me. When they see you playing with that sword, what movie is that? I said, Sokobo's the only movie I got playing with a sword like Conan. Oh, they love that. They wanted us to buy them outfits like that for Halloween. I said, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. That makes me feel good, because these very few people that tell me this actually mean this. They're not just saying it because the film was successful. I want to run with the crowd and be like, these people are saying this shit and nobody else ain't talking. Everybody else yeah. But these people are like, Rich, I want to tell you something. My kids love your film. I don't like it. My kids love your film. They tell me with sincerity, this cannot happen if you're worried about fame and fortune. You have to love what you're doing. Put your own money up there and say, look, this is what I want to see. I'm not worried about if it makes any money back. I got a way of making money. That's taken care of. This money is strictly for this movie. I don't have to listen to some Joe Blow tell me where I need to spend it. I'm spending it right here. If you go to work every day and you're spending money on fucking alcohol to drink, take that alcohol money and put it into your film.
Yeah.
You will like, it will last longer than the high that alcohol can give you. Because you'll wake up every morning and you say, you know what, I love that project, man. We have so much fun on that. And you'll work with other people who are creatives and artists like yourself and say, you know what, I just want to be part of that, Rich. But why? Because it's so much fun. I got a job. I'm not in it for the money. I just want to be there because you can't go somewhere else and do this kind of shit.
Yes.
That's what you want. That's what you want. You can't go nowhere else and do this kind of shit except in Midwest Hollywood.
Yeah. RG Miller, everybody. RG Miller.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We appreciate you. We're gonna get you on here again pretty soon. Just be. We gotta get you for season 2. We got to get you for season 2 of the podcast. And I appreciate your time, brother. I had a good time. I'm sitting here like a little student in class, just paying attention to the teacher. I'm loving this, and I appreciate, I appreciate everything. And I want to tell you on here, man, I appreciate, you as a person. You as a person is also in my life, man. I love you, and I appreciate you, and I thank you for. It was
a good conversation, Ellis. That's all we were hoping for, is a good conversation about what we always usually talk about anyway.
Exactly. That's why this was a conversation, not an interview. This was a conversation.
Yeah. Conversation. Maybe the next one we'll say exactly. We'll say just a conversation. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Season 2, the conversation continue.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, to everybody out there listening, it is the NSYNC Air podcast. It is the finale of season 1 with your one and only LILEL, RG Miller.
Yeah.
Want to tell y'all, we salute. This is the celebration of the first season, and season 2. Oh, Y'all stay tuned.
Absolutely.
All right.